Hi, everyone.
Hey.
I'm Alicia.
And I'm Meredith.
And this is Summer is Fun, a Summer House podcast, Season 8, Episode 5. I love Summer House. It makes me happy.
It makes me happy too. Like, kind of nothing is going on, but then, it makes me feel like I'm watching a reality TV show of my friends, It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be chaos every
Yeah.
episode. I
Because we're just
love their
drunk.
bits. They're just drunk little
Yeah.
bits.
I love us getting drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, before we get into the episode that I loved, check us out on the A&M Podcast Network. We have this podcast, which is also a Winter House podcast and a Summer House Martha's Vineyard podcast. We have It's About the Pasta Vanderpump podcast, and we have the show One Season Wonders that I love the most. So please be sure to rate, review, subscribe, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Vanderpasta, and join our Patreon, patreon.com/Vanderpasta. Let me tell you what you can get. For $1 a month, you get access to all of our fun pre-shows where Meredith and I and sometimes Sarah talk about whatever the hell we want because it's our show. Also, you get access to any episodes we record early, including this one. For $2 a month, you get access to everything I just mentioned. Plus, when we go back and we watch old seasons of these shows, we'll do a Bravo after show so we can talk about Bravo news on the after show and not on the podcast, so we don't do spoilers. But this is a live season, so we'll talk about whatever Bravo spoilers we want to on this podcast. Also, I will say your name. So, thank you to Allie, Chris, Darby, Dee, Gabriella, Jackie, Jamie, Jennifer, Kirsten, Casey, Kelsey, Chrissy, Lady Swamp Witch, Lauren, Lindsay, Robin, Sammy, Sarah L, Sarah R, Tierney, Tonette, Tracy, Emily, Gina, Isabella, Leanne, Taylor, and Tara.
Woohoo!
Did it. There was no rhythm, but I did it. It sounded messy, but I didn't mess up.
But no rhythm is just mixing it up either way. Every time you used to say, I think this was when we were recording Vanderpump season 5, which isn't presently out yet for the public. You were I'm going to do it to a beat every time.
I thought so.
So at least we're past that era.
Well, I must have been high that day or something. I wasn't. I was totally sober. Because I remember. So then for $5 a month, you get access to everything I just mentioned. Plus, when there are live seasons like now, I will post on the Patreon, ask for your questions, comments, opinions, concerns, whatever you want us to read and say on the podcast, and that's what we will do. Also, we'll pick a patron of the episode. So this week's patron of the episode is Chrissy, because Chrissy left us some comments, and that's what I base it on. So, Chrissy, This one's for you. It's a fun episode. You're welcome. Look at that.
We're going camping.
Which was awesome. Okay, can we just get right into the episode? It was so fun.
Yes, yeah. I had a really good time watching this.
I cannot wait till we get to a certain point. I was crying laughing. I was chuckling so bad that tears came down.
It truly brought joy into my life this week. So
I don't even remember where it was, but it was so funny. Okay.
That's even more fun that you have no clue.
I know. We'll come across it. So previously on Summer House, Wes and Sierra went on a date and he wants to ask her on another one, but Sierra's having trouble opening up. Kyle is struggling in his relationship with Amanda. Carl and Lindsay had another blow up over Lindsay accusing Carl of doing drugs, but Danielle is staying out of it. And Lindsay is still so upset that she slithered through the gate and left the compound, if you will. That's what it looked like, because she just left the compound that they all live in together. I know.
Last episode, she literally goes, "Oh no, I think I'm stuck," right before she gets out.
Even when I'm mad at her, it's great TV. It's just funny.
Gates make me think of The Bachelor and The Bachelor. There was one year where he jumped over the gate. So I don't even know why I wanted Lindsay to full blown jump over this gate.
Just to climb. I wish. So it's Saturday, 5:14 p.m. Carl's outside. Lindsay's gone, and Gabby's like, "What the fuck?" So Gabby tells the house. Gabby tells the house, Lindsay just went on a walk, and the house is on the street, and she's like, yeah. So Carl calls his mom Sharon. We love Sharon. He tells his mom that him and Lindsay are in a tough spot. He's having trouble communicating. They're having arguments. And Sharon's so cute. She's like, "Is there anything I could do to make it better?" And he says, "No, but I like talking to you." But Carl just wants one fun night.
I get that.
By the time he hangs up with Sharon, Lindsay's back. She walks into the house, And
Yes.
everyone's like, did you go on a walk? And she goes, yeah, and I almost got hit by a mail truck. And I was like, oh, well. Whoops.
Well, I cannot imagine what those roads look like.
There's no sidewalk.
Around the house. I think about them like by my parents' house where there's no sidewalk. There's no even like shoulder of the road by like some of the roads by my parents' house. And it's just like sketchy. So Amanda being like, you went on a walk? Like,
on the street?
I feel that. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, and I almost got hit by a mail truck. And Amanda's like, oh! I was like, Lindsay, what the fuck? So the house goes outside. We chill by the pool. Gabby drinks from Jesse's concave in his chest.
Would you do this? Would you do this?
Yeah, probably. If I was drunk already, yeah, probably. No questions asked.
The hair throws me off. If there was no hair, I'd be more likely to do this.
Oh. If I'm drunk, you could get me to drink out of a lot of things.
That's true. I'm sure there's a like graph of me being drunk and me willing to do this.
Depends how drunk, depends the peer pressure that's happening.
Yeah. The vibes around, like, if people are chanting my name, I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in. I just finished The Traitors, and in it, Parvati had to have people drink from a rusty cup. She's like, who would drink from this? And I was literally like, if I was drunk enough, I would drink from that. Like, I wouldn't think about it. You know? So, same thing here.
But it being in a rusty cup on that show, it's like, that changed things, you know? Like,
yeah.
Who's concave? If I'm into the guy, too, I'm more likely to do it.
I'm doing it. Yeah, hell yeah. No questions asked. So Danielle tells everyone she has care packages for them before they go camping. And so they're going to get ready, and Sierra's laying on the couch, and Wes goes up to her, and he's like, hey, come party. And she's like, come party? What the fuck? And he's like, yeah, I'd never say, like, come hang out directly because that's too obvious. And Sierra's sitting there like, so you want me to spend my time decoding a message? And he's like, fine, just come hang out. And it was so cute. When I tell you, A, I'm obsessed with them as a couple. B, I'm jealous of Sierra because I want to date Wes. And C,
me too.
I cannot watch this without feeling so many emotions of like happiness, but jealousy, but like thrilled, but like
that's the thing. I am like sitting there feeling like I am Sierra, like going through this. Like the emotions are of like what Sierra is probably going through is converting to me on the screen, and I'm enjoying it because everybody loves the beginning of like relationships. Like it's fun and it's like I don't need a boy in my life because I'm watching Wes and Sierra. Like I love it.
Yeah, I'm in a relationship with them and I love.
Yes. And this is so true. Like you can't just like ask someone to hang out yet. Like you have to be so coded where you can like deny it later. Where it's like, no, I'm not flirting with her. I just wanted her to be part of the group.
Come party. It was so cute. So then Gabby and Lindsay talk. Lindsay and Carl have not had a conversation because Lindsay just wants to enjoy her life. And Gabby's like, no, totally get it. But also you're giving off bad energy and we're all feeling it. And Lindsay's like, look, it's normal to fight in relationships. Like, this is fine. And then Gabby gives us her interview where she's like, this fighting is doing detrimental things to my physical appearance. Yes. And she's like, and I can't do this because I'm trying to find my own relationship. The fuck is this? And I was like, no, I get it. This is not good. You're the new Danielle. You got to get out.
Yes. That's the thing is like, you're turning your only like kind of like ally, I'm going to call it, in the house against you because not only do you not have awareness, and this is both Carl and Lindsay problem. It's not just Lindsay, even though the conversation's with Lindsay, but they are making it a house problem. It's like Amanda and Kyle used to do this back in the day. Their fights used to be like a stressful moment for the house. And the minute you're taking away from this house specifically, but like in real life too, if like your friends are like their fight is making your life harder, you want to hang out with them less. Like, this should not be my problem. You should be able to have your like little fights on your own, and I should not have to be a part of the fighting or like in any way affected.
Yeah. We always talk about a house. We're always like, if we're in this shared house, I don't want to know if you have issues with literally anyone unless we're gossiping about it.
Yes.
And it's fun. If your marriage is on the line, that's not fun. We're not gossiping about that. I don't want it.
It can't be the same thing every week. Like the fact that this is like a 2-weekend fight that we're like rolling into, that's what it makes it. It's not like you just like kind of had like a yelling match over if he bought you a drink or something at the bar. And this is like funny, whatever. When we wake up sober, this doesn't mean anything. Like, you are questioning his sobriety, and that makes everybody else tense.
Agreed. It's crazy. Okay, so we're all ready for camping because we're all in like comfy, fun hiking clothes.
Oh my God, they like really went in theme. Thank
I
you
know,
for going on theme.
I'm obsessed. So Danielle is ready, and she has mesh bags for everyone that she passes out. And basically, the color of your mesh bag is your teammate. So our teams, I love this. And I love that we're splitting up people. Like, don't put Carl and Lindsay together. Don't put Amanda and Kyle together.
I was about to say, and I like how she handed out the bags and didn't say anything until everybody had their color. Like, you didn't pick a bag because you wanted to be with somebody.
Yeah. So it's West and Lindsay, Jesse and Sierra, which she's like, fuck, I'm already going to lose. Because let me tell you, Jesse's from the suburbs of Chicago, the north ones where I am, and we don't camp that often. Yeah. And then you have Kyle, Danielle, Carl, and Gabby, and then Amanda's the ref, which I think is how Amanda wanted it because she's not very competitive or outdoorsy. So they also made a shit ton of alcohol. Like, Amanda's questioning if we need to mix tequila and vodka together. And I was like, no, we don't.
Alicia.
It's okay.
And then later, I don't know if you noticed this, Kyle pours vodka straight into his canteen, and then they all later are like chugging out of their canteens. And I'm like, I was so concerned for Kyle after watching that he poured straight. Maybe there was a mixer in there, but I only saw vodka go in there.
Same. I figured it out when Carl was like, in my canteen, there's only water. And I was like, oh, Lindsay's really chugging her canteen. I don't think that's water.
No, Carl goes, like they're supposed to. He goes, there's water like there's supposed to.
Like it's supposed to be. And Lindsay, they just give shots of everyone chugging this canteen. And I go, no one is that hydrated. No one. No. Try again. So the game is to pitch a tent with your partner, and the losers have to cook. So we start. Jesse and Sierra have never pitched a tent before in their lives.
The lack of urgency. The lack of urgency from Jesse, too. He's like, what are the directions? And Sierra's like, no, just start ripping everything out. We'll figure it out.
He's like, 4 posts and the poles. And she's like, no.
4 posts. We have, like, this is not the time.
So Danielle already, very competitive person. Matched with Kyle, very competitive person. Carl and Gabby are probably in the middle. Gabby just doesn't want to cook, so she's going to do her best. And then you have Wes and Lindsay. And basically Wes says if he ever got into a plane crash and he had to pick one person to survive with, he's probably picking Lindsay. Like, she's going to fucking boss him around and yell at him, but they're surviving.
I mean,
like, Lindsay looks crazy. She gets in a full fight with this sleeping bag trying to get it out of the...
Yes, and I stand by that statement. That perfectly sums up Lindsay. Like,
yes, they're going to make it. Doesn't matter where you are with Lindsay. You're alive at the end of that.
And I don't even think he knows she has that, like, experience. Like, in seasons past, she's talked about her, like,
she's ROTC
training. Yeah, like,
I forgot.
She has that, but it's not even that training would tell me she would survive. I agree. She's, like, bossy enough to make sure that we do things correctly to survive. God.
We're in the jungle. Lindsay'd scare the shit out of all the predators. Those lions, they turn around. The panthers, they're like, no.
Absolutely. Her yelling at me about my kindling would scare the snakes, birds, even sharks away from
They'd be like, no, it's not worth it.
No, thank you. She'll bite us before we bite her.
So Kyle and Danielle ultimately win, and Jesse and Sierra lose. So the losers, they go off to cook the meal. And then Danielle says, great, let's get weird. And man, do they. Kyle almost lights up his inner thigh trying to start this fire. To which I said, I bet we miss Luke right now.
Oh, I mean, this really would be up Luke's alley, this event.
The fire also kind of looked out of control. It looked very big when they first started it, which made me think they added gasoline, which you're not supposed to the fire. So I was like, my God. Lindsay takes a lot of shots. Her canteen is definitely not full of water, as Carl's is. They sit by the fire. Very cute. West is on Sierra's lap, and they're all like hanging out. And then Amanda's like, hey, do you guys want to play spin the bottle with a twist? So basically, you have an empty Loverboy can, and spin it, and it will land on different flavors of Loverboy. And depending on the flavor, you have to do a different like dare or truth or a thing, whatever. So
I like that because at first when she was like, "Do you want to play spin the bottle?" I was like, "We are a little too old
are we gonna
and
kiss
too
each
coupley to kiss each other." Like,
yeah, who's Kyle kissing? Like, what the fuck?
this is something Vanderpump Rules would do. I mean, they have done like at Katie and Tom's Bachelorette
When they're in relationships.
Like, I don't think this will go well, especially with Lindsay and Carl, if we are like kissing other people while we're in a fight.
Yeah. I liked this. So
Me too.
Amanda spins. She gets a raunchy dare, so she has to lick Kyle's inner thigh, and he is shook. Thank you. He is.
He probably was so turned on and then so upset because like they don't have sex in the summer house, and so it's like, all right, now I gotta wait till I get home and now like try and get Amanda to have sex with me. Now I have to wait like 4 days.
Absolutely not. Jesse gets to remove an article of clothing. He takes his shirt off because he's not wearing underwear.
I don't understand how that's comfortable in denim, personally.
Same. I agree.
I will never.
Carl has to pick 2 people to kiss. He picks Sierra and Wes, and they make out, and I loved every second of it, and I wanted more, and I wanted less, because I wanted to make out with Wes, but I wanted to watch them make out.
I know. Thank you the house for egging this on. You need your friends to get you to kiss more and like to do that. Like I need my friends to step up for me like this.
Same. And I loved Wes being like, we'll probably have more makeouts. And I was like, yay. And then Kyle gets dared. This part was cracking me up. This was one of my parts I was laughing at. Kyle gets dared to run around the pool naked. Ultimately, he lands on like no pants. And then Lindsay somehow also gets dared to do it topless. So Lindsay takes off her top. Kyle takes off his pants. They run around the pool, but like the whole time they're laughing so hard they can't run. And they're also trying to like cheer, but like they're trying to cover themselves up. So it's like chaos ensued. And Amanda goes, my favorite part is that there's no sexual tension between them, which is so true because they are a match.
I, in that moment, realized, God, these 2 are so similar. It's insane. Like, they truly are the most siblings,
like twin flames
I've ever seen on TV before.
I was cracking up trying to watch them run, but being like too drunk and trying to hold themselves in. It's awesome.
This also made me realize how long we've watched these people, and they're like still stupid little kids still. Like, I love the energy.
I agree.
And like their soul. Like, they will always do shit like this. And like age is just a number kind of activity that like I want friends like this for the rest of my life who like just want to do silly shit.
Yeah, this was fun. And I have to say, Lindsay used to show us her boobs a lot. I'm sad she was covering them.
True.
She's a kept woman now, you know.
I don't want to even blame it on, because that kind of feels like it's like Carl's fault, but I feel like she's growing up. Like she's like maturing a little bit, but she still got it. Like she still wants
she'll still
to
do it.
Dazzle the world.
Hell yeah. Okay, so it's Saturday, 12:26 p.m. We love camping. Camping is fun. We're dancing, we're drinking, we're having the best time. Everyone's like, thank you, Danielle, for putting this together. Yeah. Jesse's on the apps, and he finds a girl 2 minutes away, and he's going to go.
I loved him leaving.
I love him too. He's going to go.
I'm like, get out of here. You go get laid.
Jesse just wants a girl that will make him not care about any other girls, but maybe that feeling doesn't go away. So he's just going to keep doing what he's doing.
Oh, okay.
He's in his late 20s, if I've ever heard something like that. So, you know. Okay, so now it's Sunday, 1:12 a.m., and it's finally time to sleep. Gabby, she's an indoor chick. She's headed in, and I was like, me too, probably. Because it's all couples,
I would
right?
commit. I would commit to sleeping outside.
I wouldn't. I'm not a camper. So it's Kyle and Amanda in one, Lindsay and Carl in another, Sierra and West in another, and I have no idea where Danielle is. She wakes up in her bed.
I think she I think they just cut out her clips because like you can only have so many. But I think she stayed outside and then went in like they did, just separately. That's
Okay.
Because
Fair.
I believe that she put this party together and she would commit to the sleeping outside.
Okay, fair. I am Gabby. I'm going to go inside for the reason we see. But anyway, so Sierra and West, very cute. She is smacking his butt. They are cuddling. This is their first sleepover and they kiss in the tent a lot.
Oh my God. Also, the GoPro just being like in the tent, I literally died laughing because I'm like, this is the funniest angle and the weirdest. Like, it's not like high quality footage. I'm like, this is also why I love Summer House. Like, the randomness of
so
filming
funny.
them is so funny to me.
If someone walked in and saw that camera angle who's never seen Summer House, they would think we're watching like a bad YouTube video, like a vlog.
They would think we're like creepers. Like who is setting up cameras in people's tents?
Yeah, we're just stalking people. But this takes a lot of the pressure off the first sleepover because they're camping and they're outside and they're around other people. So like nothing's really going to happen. But like they still get to make out and stuff, which is like so
You're
cute.
living in like a La La Land world where it doesn't really count.
Exactly. It was beautiful. Meanwhile, Amanda tells Kyle not to touch her because it's too hot to be touching.
I love that we basically get cut. This is why I think they left Danielle out. Yeah, it's like 3 couples that are in vastly different stages in their relationship and are just also on different terms with each other right now. So funny.
So at 3:27 a.m., Jesse comes home. So max 2 hours with that girl. And then at 4:13, yeah, honestly, at 4:13 a.m., there's a storm. And it's raining. Everyone starts to head inside. They abandon their tent. This is where I go, where's Danielle? Because I thought they left her out there. But she actually wakes up in her own bed. So she made it. So now it's Sunday, 9:03 a.m. Everyone's waking up. It's time to clean, but it's still raining outside. And it's raining all over the shit they left outside. Because there's the only thing worse than trash is wet trash.
And like all that camping material, horrible because like you can't put it away if it's wet. I was like, this sucks. I'm also someone who does not regularly check the weather, and even if I do not plan things accordingly. So I would be mad if I woke up in the tent soaking wet, but I also would not be the one to check the weather the night before to make the right decision.
Neither did Danielle, so happens. Anyway, Kyle and Amanda talk, and even though it rained on them, last night was so fun. It was the best. Lindsay and Carl were getting along, so we didn't have to deal with their issues. And Amanda's like, I wish we slept in the tent the whole night because Amanda loves waking up to the sun and the nature.
And like the dew. Like waking up in a tent is so fun.
No, different, but I get it. So she's like, I'm like Amanda 2.0 right now. And then at first I'm like, why does Amanda like care about waking up in a tent? But then we find out that she's really pushing to move out of New York and out of their apartment and into a place that has outdoor space, probably in New Jersey, because she really wants a backyard and she wants to sit on her porch. And I get it. I get it. She says it probably wouldn't be permanent. They'd probably do like both places still. But Amanda is not a forever city girl. She is not Paige.
Yes.
She needs to leave
I get
at some
that.
point. Yeah.
I am a forever city girl. I'm like, I do not want a lawn. Like, I do not want a front porch. I want a rooftop where I can see city lights at night. But I get that everybody wants different things.
I will say, I think my long term is a smaller city. New York's overwhelming.
Interesting. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Like I want to live.
I would do a Chicago.
I want to live up by like in like a northern part of the city where it feels like a little more quaint town, but you have access to the L to have like everything at your fingertips. Like I want access to the L no matter where I live.
Yes.
To feel like I can go anywhere in the city at any time, even though Uber exists. I just need the idea in my head that I'm part of it.
That is me. That is totally me. I want to go on walks and not feel overwhelmed, but I still want
to be able to walk to a coffee shop and walk to restaurants. And I don't want to have to ever rely on a car is my idea of life.
Yes. And I get it. New York is very overwhelming. I have felt that. There's
Mhm.
not a lot of places to go and everything's very close together. We don't even have alleys to
Yeah.
break it up here. So I get where Amanda's coming
Yeah.
from. And I also think I'm on New York TikTok, but I'm also on the TikTok of people who have left New York and are like, my back's no longer hurt and like I breathe better and I'm not stressed. And I'm like, oh, it's this. It's this.
I can't wait for you to come
Anyway.
back to Chicago.
My back's not going to hurt as much. So be ready.
My heart will be fuller.
So, but Amanda's really dying for a backyard. She's not very comfortable in the city. Also, her parents live in New Jersey. Her parents want grandkids. Amanda wants kids. She doesn't want to raise kids in New York. She wants to raise them in New Jersey in a home, and then her parents can help because they'll be very close. And also, we forget Amanda's rich. She has that trust fund, remember, with the prenup.
I forgot about the trust fund.
I only remembered because she's like, when we go to my parents, Kyle served hors d'oeuvres and handed Aperol spritzes. And I go,
Yeah.
my parents have never served anyone an hors d'oeuvre. They give them like taco dip. It's like, here.
That's an hors d'oeuvre, but you would never call it an hors d'oeuvre. We're
only
Midwestern
rich people
folk.
call it hors d'oeuvres. Only rich
know,
people.
but-
And that's how I knew.
No, but we're also Midwestern folk. Like, we're like, oh my God, do you want this buffalo chicken dip?
But also, my parents aren't serving you. It's family style, baby. You don't get handed to you.
There's just a crock pot in the middle of the countertop for you to like grab your own.
Grab it. Yeah, what the fuck? But Kyle's getting served.
My family literally gets boats from a restaurant store that you would eat out of a fair, and that's what we eat out of constantly when we have parties. It's like, grab a boat.
Fucking genius.
We're not serving anybody on a real plate, let alone serving them, you know? Like
Meredith and I grew up in the poor, you can tell. We grew up middle class because we're not fucking serving you, and we'll never call it an hors d'oeuvre.
I think there's a difference between Midwest middle class aesthetic and like coast middle class aesthetic.
Rich.
Yeah.
If Amanda's got a trust fund, she's fucking rich. So
true. And by our standards, absolutely.
Wow. I would marry Amanda and give her whatever she wanted. If I'm getting hors d'oeuvres served to me, that's
the thing. You don't even have to have a trust fund. If your family is serving me Aperol Spritz and hors d'oeuvres, I'm in.
Where the fuck's Kyle from? Why doesn't he appreciate this more?
He's from Vermont, remember?
Oh, yeah. He's not as rich. He's broke because he started like 40 companies.
They have expectations of her ski skills. They don't serve her up.
Also, skiing is a rich person thing.
True.
Prove me wrong. It's very expensive. Anyway, now that we've gone through our class dynamics,
financial,
okay, so Lindsay and Carl wake up. They talk about how fun they had, like how much fun camping was. And Lindsay's like, she was obviously drunk because she's like, how did I end up shirtless? And Carl's like, oh, you got dared to do a raunchy dare. And she's like, no way. And I was like, okay, blackout, go off.
Listen, I'm all for your drinking levels, but the relationship they're in is just vastly different from the first year to the second year. And that's the key problem is like,
yes,
these are two different relationships.
Yes. So, last night snapped them out of their funk. Carl again apologizes for how he got frustrated with Lindsay. And Lindsay goes, I appreciate that. And I went, no, God. He's letting you be second to apologize.
That's the thing is like, it comes off as she doesn't even like value them working through a problem as a team and like both like being like, hey, you know, like I love you. I'm sorry that we fought even. Like there could be like kind of shitty apologies she could even give here where it's not like she's taking like 100% responsibility because it's not 100% her fault. But she will not even give 1% in this. And that is so frustrating to see.
Yep. Just
acknowledgement of even the situation.
It drove me nuts. And then Carl continues to communicate and he says Friday he got annoyed and he is sorry he did not communicate that properly in the way Lindsay needed. And he emphasizes how he wants to continue communicating. And Lindsay goes, we could just talk about it in couples therapy. And I went,
that made me
no,
very nervous
no,
hearing that, to
I
be honest. Like,
know.
you were only willing to talk things through with the therapist. Like, you can't solely rely on that as like your conflict resolution. But I also am very nervous about the version of the story the therapist hears, because I think Lindsay would tell the story and Carl would just sit there. That's how I feel like that's going to go.
Nope. I thought the same thing. That was my exact thought.
And listen, I lie to my therapist, so I get lying to your therapist. Totally understand. You always put yourself in the best light.
But there's someone else there that knows the truth. Like, imagine if we went to therapy together and you're trying to tell her, like, our podcast. I'm like, that's not how it happened. Like, I know you're lying. That'd be crazy.
I know.
I would sit there and be like, you're insane. But then
like,
I know you're lying.
You know Carl is not going to, like, activate her in therapy. Well, I guess he could, because like the therapist could probably then sees it.
That's like number one place to activate.
I know, but I just feel like she would then be like, see, look at, this is what he does to me. I just feel like no matter what he does, he is going to be in the wrong, you know?
Yes, probably. Also, who found this therapist? Was it Lindsay?
I don't know, but if I ever am in a relationship, that sounded so sad. If I ever have the
you
pleasure,
you have me. We are in a working and best friendship.
True. If I have a male romantic relationship,
dropping my shit the way you're saying it.
I'm like, let me clarify anything but Alicia.
If I ever get the privilege to date a straight man.
I can't believe I'm phrasing it like this. But
just go on.
I think couples therapy is really beneficial, and it just feels like it comes off like it is a scary thing to do. Like, you don't want to be Lindsay and Carl going to therapy, but I do think it's really good that they're in couples therapy. I think everybody kind of should, but I just don't think they're going to use it correctly.
No, I think you start couples. If I'm ever in the pleasure of dating a man, I think you should maybe start, once you get serious and you start discussing, I think, like serious things like money or kids or where to move, you just kind of bring up couples therapy and you're like, listen, if this is a long-term thing, let's discuss with someone and let's like figure it out and like go from there. But we'll see if Meredith and I ever get the privilege ever again. I haven't had the privilege in at least 5 years since we started this podcast.
Who knows if we want to have the privilege, to be honest.
That's true. The men we date, I don't want the privilege to.
I don't want that privilege.
Please keep your privilege. I'll be sad over here.
Keep your privilege away from me. Keep your privilege relationship away from me.
Unless you're bringing me an Aperol spritz with your privilege, I don't want it.
Alicia, I can make you Aperol spritzes and hors d'oeuvres for the rest of our life in our
hors d'oeuvres
duplex.
Say it again. You're like, here's your hors d'oeuvre. It's in a boat for you to serve yourself. Okay, just call it an hors d'oeuvre. That's fine. That gets me. I'm in.
The privilege of this relationship will happen forever.
Great. I love that. Because we're in it for at least 20,000 seasons. So it'll never
committed
end.
For the long haul.
Anyway, so Kyle, Amanda, Sierra, and Wes are in the kitchen. Sierra's like, you guys, I made it longer in that tent than you fucking did. Prayers.
I would stand on that all day, by the way.
That would be my biggest flex for the rest of the summer. But Amanda's like, that was so fun. We should do it again, like every weekend. And Sierra's like, no. I don't think so.
It's only fun to do it every once in a while. That's why I would commit to it that one night, because I would not do this for the rest of the year. Like, you could convince me to do it next summer for another party.
Agreed. Also, it was fun because it's something we've never seen really them do before on this show.
I know. Well, okay, so last year, I remember we were frustrated because they weren't really having parties, and I think we learned that they had to get, like, permits, like, a lot more legal stuff was in last season. I think they're doing a really good job. They clearly got a permit for, like, 4th of July. I heard through the grapevine that they got a few more permits for other parties. This is a good in-between. I want you to commit to a theme, but I don't want you to just, like, sit in your house. Listen, I loved Andrea's, like, pasta night. I don't want to see you just sit in your house every weekend eating dinner, you know?
Yeah.
Make
there
it a
has
whole
to be
thing.
something we do after or something.
Yes.
There's a theme. I agree.
I need you to like have an actual activity and really commit to it. Like go get freaking like laser tag guns and have like a laser tag fight in the house.
Yeah,
I don't care what it is, but like do it. Yeah.
In the event of change, Jesse fucking went to Starbucks. He just I'd be pissed. How dare you not take my order? Like, what the fuck?
That is how I feel because it's not hard. All you have to do is come around with an iPhone and ask for people's orders and mobile order it. Somebody did this yesterday at a bar and I was like, and asked everybody what they wanted.
Yep.
I was like, thank you for the commitment to the larger group's caffeine orders.
They grow up in the Chicago suburbs and they just don't understand.
I mean, that is not a man I want to have the privilege of dating.
Imagine if you were dating him and he came back without a fucking Starbucks for you.
I would fucking lose it harder.
Paige would never date Jesse. Not for a fucking second.
You know what Jesse is? The anti-Andrea. Andrea would never do this to the house.
Andrea would never. He would get you a Starbucks before he got himself a Starbucks.
Showing up with coffee isn't a love language, and Jesse does not have it.
No. So Jesse and Carl are working out today before they all head back to the city, and he invites everyone to join, and Sierra and West are like, yeah, we'll go, and West is going to finish his rosé before they go, so that'll taste great coming up.
Sierra, like, committing to activities. This is Sierra's best season. Like, I'm like, this is a whole new woman. I am obsessed with her.
Agreed. I also love, because usually she's just the bed sore, but I want her to do the bed sore and the active.
I know.
And I think
I am missing bedtime. I am really missing it.
I think she has that with Paige, but now she likes Wes, so she stays out late and she goes to workout classes with him, which I love. Like Paige, that one night Paige came back all by herself because she's dating Craig. She doesn't have to go out and be fun. Sierra, there's someone to go be fun with. Before she didn't have someone to have fun with.
I think her being friends with like Danielle helps. Like you need a buddy out, and like having Gabby, it's like you need friends who are gonna pull you out, and the crush will really secure you to be out.
And I think, don't get me wrong, I love Paige, Amanda, and Sierra's friendship, but I think Sierra is more a middle girl, similar to me. Like I love bed, but I like going out. So I like that Sierra's doing both because Amanda and Paige are the bed girls, and then like the rest of the girls love to go get drunk. So I think Sierra's doing a beautiful little balance that I love.
I agree. Completely agree.
The boys clean up outside in the rain. Poor Wes left his backpack out there, and now it's just drenched. That's rookie mistake. Never bring anything camping. So
never go camping.
Never go camping. The workout crew goes to Soul Cycle. Everyone else packs up to leave. Gabby and Danielle won't be here next week. So I'm really sad they're doing Soul Cycle and not Berries because I finally have gone to a Berries class, so I like understand how terrible it is. I've actually been to two. I've been to two, and both times I questioned my existence a lot. But both times I did think of Carl and Lindsay.
I know. And Alicia posted a story about her little smoothie. Lindsay liked it, but like did not give Rex. Like
I just need to know what smoothie to get. Yeah, which one's the one, you know? Mine was fine, but I got to know what Lindsay's dying. She wants something better. Also, I thought I'm so naive. They're like, hey, if you want a smoothie after class, they make them during class and you pick them up after. So you don't actually have to wait for them to make the smoothie. You put your order in first.
That's
which
smart.
is like amazing. And I was like, I turned to my friend and I go, do you think it's complimentary? And she goes, absolutely not. You're about to pay $12 for that smoothie. And she was right. So it won't be an every time thing. But I did get a free trial, so it's free for right now.
Yeah,
except
it's
the
a little treat. You deserve a little treat.
If the class is free, the smoothie's I'll pay for it. It's fine.
There you go.
So we go to Soul Cycle, which I've never tried because I hate biking. So number one thing for Carl to stay sober is to work out, and I get this because listen up, guys. My dad was a smoker, probably still is. He doesn't smoke cigarettes anymore, but he works out every fucking night like it's his job. Because if you have an addictive personality, you just you got to put it in something else. So walk
yes,
out.
the way Carl said, like, it helps him settle his thoughts. I felt that. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a very anxious energy person. Like, I need to be doing. Like, I really worked through this with my therapist of like, I'm not someone who can sit still, really. I can have bed rot days or like moments where I lay on the couch, but it's like in my mind, that's scheduled time. And that is a like slot in my day. I like know when it's going to end. So like I felt this so hard, even though I'm not an addict. Like I can't imagine I could see myself becoming an addict because I like if I like made different like choices, like it's so
Same.
easy to like slip into that and like put your whole energy into like the drinking and going out aspect of life. And you've got to funnel that into something. Like you've got to
Agreed.
capture it somewhere. And working out is a great
Way
healthy,
to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, way to channel that.
So what after the class, Wes is like, that was a great workout. Could you imagine how great it would feel if we didn't drink tequila last night and sleep on the
Wes
grass?
is so funny.
That's me. That's me being like, that was great, but also could have been better, probably.
His humor is just like natural,
so
like
funny.
sentence stuff, and I like
it's charm. It's charm. He's
Yes.
charismatic. He's charming.
You're so
He's
right. That
funny,
was perfect,
yeah.
Alicia.
I've thought about him probably every day since he's been on my screen. So
seeing him and Jesse, the TikToks on the like little scooter thing.
They're so cute. They're so cute.
I watch it like 7 times every time I see it.
If it doesn't work out with Sierra, Jesse's really got to throw his hat in the ring to get Wes because he deserves him.
There was a moment where they were outside cleaning up, I think, and Kyle asked where he was from. And he goes, oh, Missouri. It's just like in the middle of everything. And I was like, marry me.
I love him. I was
like, marry me, please.
So Carl says last night was one of the funnest nights ever. Jesse's like, yeah. And like next time we can maybe have a weekend where Carl and Lindsay don't fight. And Carl's like, no, same. I'd love that. But he says, Jesse's he's ready to fight for Carl. And I appreciate
Jesse
it.
is so funny with like pointing out the awkwardness. He's like, hey, maybe not next weekend.
I love that everyone else has learned, like, we just don't bring it up. Like, Kyle would never say this to Carl. No. Jesse's like, bro, I'm going to kill your fiance and you're going to love it.
Which
honestly.
we need, because they're all used to this and they don't want to activate Lindsay and whatever. And we need the outsider who has no idea what he's up against to bring it up.
The bluntness of this man. I love it.
Yes.
So Carl says him and Lindsay talked and they're fine now. And Jesse's like, did she apologize for saying you were doing drugs? And Carl goes, if she did, I don't recall her saying it.
Oh my God.
But she doesn't understand that, like, that hurts. And I'm like, what?
How can you be so tone deaf to not realize that would hurt your like drug and alcohol addicts, like who's sober now, fiance?
Feeling.
How, in what world do you think that wouldn't hurt? I couldn't even imagine saying that to a stranger I know, like questioning their sobriety like that.
Also, stop protecting her and going, if she did, I don't recall. Just say no.
No,
she
but
didn't.
I think he's setting himself up for, I think he is so used to her truly changing the narrative and like fighting so hard that she did things even if she didn't, that he is like setting himself up for a potential like reunion, you know, where she's like, I can't believe you said that. I did apologize. And for him to be like, I just didn't remember. I was just saying like, I didn't remember if you did or didn't. Like, I think he's so used to protecting himself in their arguments. He's a
little smarty up in there. All right.
No, I think he's like so scared of her. Not really like, true. I think it's like a defense mechanism, like to save himself, which is so sad.
It's very sad when you put it that way.
I don't even think he thinks about it. Yeah. I think it's just his auto response to be like defensive of Lindsay because he probably in their arguments
He always
gets
loses.
a little, I hate using the word gaslight. I think we like overuse it now, but like he kind of gets a little gaslighted into thinking like she did or didn't do things. I mean, she's doing it in that argument about that he was the aggressor and he was the one arguing with her and he was in a bad mood. And it's like, and she was saying, you're rewriting history. And it's like, Lindsay, what is going on?
Ma'am. So Sierra's like, it's just sad for us to watch her break like your sobriety. And it's always when she's drunk and alcohol's involved. And then we kind of know a little bit about Sierra's home life and how her and her father aren't super close. But she goes into it and shares that her dad is a volatile drunk and it's not okay. And it's why she hasn't talked to her dad in almost a year. And Sierra says Lindsay and Carl's situation is scary because she sees her parents' situation and she was in that situation. She wouldn't want to bring kids into that situation, but Lindsay really wants children. And Sierra's mom made the decision to divorce her dad because she didn't want her kids seeing this. So Sierra tells Carl like he can't sacrifice himself to bring out the good and potential out of Lindsay. Like you have to acknowledge this is what you're going to get for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Which I think is really important for Carl to hear and be like, it won't change. It won't, as long as she's drinking, it won't go away.
That's the thing is like, if this was like a one-time event where like Lindsay got absolutely obliterated, questions Carl's sobriety, like
it's never happened in the past before.
Yeah. And then like they were able to have a conversation, a constructive conversation about her drinking, this wouldn't make me like worry, but they clearly can't do that. This isn't a one-time event. And like, listen, Lindsay gets to drink however much she wants, but that doesn't mean that Carl has to like want that life for himself either. Like Lindsay gets to make decisions and Carl gets to make decisions. And I think for the first time, because people are like Sierra's talking about this, like it's making Carl really examine their life in a different way that he never has before. Because like I said earlier in the episode, like this is two different relationships. We have Lindsay being sober and Lindsay not, and truly any relationship, anybody being sober and not sober are completely different styles of relationship. You're going to be different people if you're drinking or using anything to like affect who you are. And I really felt what like Sierra said, like I grew up in a very like alcohol dominant family and like it really does change like how your childhood is. And I've really struggled with that. Like I felt so seen when she was saying this. Like my parents were together though. I experienced that my whole life. And like it is the parents' responsibility to raise their child in a positive environment where they can. Like obviously there are things sometimes out of our control or it can be hard to leave like abusers and stuff, but like you as a parent knowing going into a situation, having a child with somebody who could like potentially have a chaotic situation, like you really need to think about if you want to do that for yourself and for future children. Like you are their parent, you are supposed to keep them safe. And so this is something you need to address in therapy before you get married or like constantly throughout your relationship. And Lindsay should not be so defensive to receive, like criticism about her drinking.
No, because it is volatile and it does make for an uncomfortable situation we're just seeing it now. Like it makes it uncomfortable for everyone. Imagine for children. Like it's for uncomfortable for them, adults.
Who live with them 2 to 3 days a week.
That don't care about this relationship outside of that. But like the kids that like are put in these situations and like have to deal with it and then they like have no one to turn to because it's just this arguing.
Feeling like trapped in your room while chaos is going around you is something I wish on no child ever. It is like the worst experience ever. And you're not an adult who can like drive away or leave or choose things like this. This is your family. Like it is, it's something to think about.
Yeah. And I think you put it great. I think Sierra put it great. We're like, it's almost bringing awareness to the situation, not so much like blaming Carl or blaming Lindsay or feeling sorry for yourself. You're like, this is just what it is. And you need to recognize that before it's like too late and the cycle continues.
This is, and like, how are you going to react to it?
Yeah, exactly. And I think in this situation, I think it helped Carl hear it from someone who's been through it, right? Because like
Yeah.
Jesse Sullivan saying like, this is bad, like sure, but also great. But Sierra sitting
Yeah.
here really opening up saying, I have been there, I have done that, and I'm telling you, this is your life forever.
It will not end.
No, like this is
Yeah.
it. No matter how
It
much
makes
she
it more
says,
tangible, especially
Yeah.
about the future.
Agreed. So, ready to go to New York?
Hell yeah. Let's get out of this terrible relationship.
So it's New York City. On Tuesday, Kyle and Carl get lunch and a bird shits on their table. On Wednesday, Danielle's hiring for her company. On Thursday, we get Paige back, but we get Craigie. Hello,
I actually am
Craig.
so excited. I feel like we needed a breath of fresh air. Like I've never been so
Craig.
excited to see Craig.
To see Craig. So we laugh at Craig's closet, which is basically a linen closet, and Paige is like, "That's New York, baby. You deal with it."
I was about to say that's the most city to suburbs like coded thing is like us being
This
like,
is
oh my
a
god, closet space.
Closet space. So Paige has a call with the realtor because she needs a 2-bedroom and she needs a room big enough for a king-size bed. And Craig is supportive of this.
I thought she had 2 bedrooms.
I think she does, but I don't know if it's big enough for a king.
Okay. That makes more sense. I was like, the tone made it seem like she was like, oh, I need to get into 2 bedrooms. I'm like, I thought you did.
I also thought that, but maybe one's like a mini room, like an office kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a newer building. They wouldn't do that. That's usually like old buildings where they try and convert stuff. What do I know?
Yeah.
So she wants to involve Craig in this because she kind of likes him and values his opinion, but also it's her apartment and what she says goes. And whatever Craig gets as a closet is what he's going to get and be happy with. So we talked to the realtor about apartments. What I didn't know, I love learning about other people's apartments and living situations.
Me
Paige
too.
is currently month to month, which is awesome. Good for her.
Mm-hmm.
She also is paying $8,500 for rent.
I mean,
and I went, I guess she's making enough money to cover that.
I will never forget that Carl and Lindsay are paying $15,000, and it even hurts me more because they re-signed the lease like 2 weeks before they broke up, and Carl's literally paying $7,500 a month to not live in an apartment. I think about that as my Roman Empire lately.
I'm stressed. But Paige says she'll go up to $9,000, which I question because when you're at that level, I can't imagine there's a big difference between an $8,500 and a $9,000 apartment. I think it's kind of
even my rent. I feel like $500 is a bigger difference here, but like in the grand scheme of things, if I could afford like a $2,000 a month apartment here in Chicago, like $2,500 isn't that like obscene.
It's not going to get you something crazier.
No,
like it's not even.
No, yeah, that's it. Like it won't get you something insanely different.
No, it'll just kind of be the same-ish. I don't know.
Yeah,
especially at that level, like that.
And let's be honest, realtors are always going to then bump up your budget to like $9,500. Then, like just to like show you what's out there, and it's like I always go slightly under what my true max budget could be because I know realtors are going to show me higher. So, like, I truly think Paige's end budget is like $9,500, $10,000, which is my heart just hurts being someone who is not in this industry who could afford that.
I can't. So the realtor is basically like, "Is it just for you? Is it for you and your boyfriend?" And Paige is like, "Ooh, you're really, really putting me on the spot." Basically, it's mine, but he'll be here, so I want him to be comfortable, which I think is great.
I love this because, like, yes. He gets to feel comfortable here, but like he can have keys, but he's not on the lease. That's my mentality.
Yeah. So the realtor also supports Paige in using a bedroom for a closet, which I think Craig was trying to make sound crazy, but you're crazy. So just back out. Anyway, so then
he can submit requests for this apartment. That doesn't mean they're going to be accepted.
Yeah. So on Thursday, West and Jesse hang out. They go to Gloss Lab in Nomad, which I know where that is. So I just
love their bromance. I believe it. I believe it hardcore because they're posting on social media in present day, but then like they're doing things on the show anyways, and their vibes come just like Sierra and West's chemistry comes through on the screen. So does West and Jesse.
Yeah. So they go get a pedicure. Wes and Sierra did movie Monday this week, so they like went to go see a
Cute.
movie, and then they went like, you know, they walked and then they had to go two separate ways. And then Sierra was like, "Hey, do you want to come see my apartment?" And Wes is like, "I've never wanted anything more, actually." And they did a full sleepover at her place. And Jesse's like, "Did you make it past first base?" And Wes is like, "No, I've been on first base for 10 days." And I'm like, "And you will stay there until Sierra wants you off of it." So you know.
I also
love
like
how
weirdly
pure it
don't.
is.
I know. I don't want all the nitty gritty details. I want them to keep this private.
Same. I do love how like pure it is, because I feel like
Mhm.
now it's like you sleep with someone and then you can maybe date them. But she's like,
Yep.
"I won't even let you like touch my boob," basically. She's like,
I am very timid in new relationships.
Same.
I don't want everything to happen all at once. I'm just like, you don't deserve everything. Like you can
I'll
wait your
always
turn.
say, if I really like you, we won't hook up. Like I will
Same.
keep you at
Same.
arm's. If we hook up, I don't like you.
That's the thing. I've said that to a guy once. Like, I really like you, so I don't want to. And he goes, "That doesn't make any sense." And I was like, "Well, to
Yes,
me,
it
it does."
does. Yes, it does. If
Because I'm more
like you,
nervous.
you can hit it on the first, or if I don't like you, you can hit it on the first date. If I like you, we have to go on at least minimum 20 dates before I let you near
Because
me.
I'm like thinking about it. You're in
Yeah.
my mind, you could be around for a while, so then I'm more nervous about it.
I know. It makes sense. I'm with you. So Wes also shares that he's ready to bring someone into his life, even with his work situation. And I'm like, wait, did we learn what he did? And then we
I
find
know.
out he was laid off. I was like, oh,
It
sad.
reminds me of when Carl was laid off and like didn't tell the house for weeks, like years ago. And I was like, no, Wes, like I know what that's like. I personally know what it's like. And you just like
Same.
I carried so much shame and embarrassment around it, but it's like
Same.
it's chill. And
It happens.
he doesn't make this like weird. And it weirdly made me feel more comfortable about my situation that happened years ago.
Yeah, isn't it weird? Because I've also been laid off. And isn't it weird that I'm like, we were so embarrassed when
So
like it wasn't our
embarrassed.
fault. We just
It
got
had
laid off.
I know, like I'm sure there was a factor where it kind of did have to do with me, but it's not like the company like couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Not I couldn't handle it.
Yeah. So Wes does say we're a few months away from panic mode. And then me personally, I want to be like, Wes, thank God you're going to be on the show and you're going to make tons
I
of
thought
money.
that too. I'm like, well, technically you do have a job,
You're
so I
good.
do feel better than you. And I
You're
know
good.
in present day, I think he works for like complex sports, so you're fine.
Also, just like don't live, once you get these summer house paychecks, don't live above your means. Just stay where you fucking are and you'll save some money and then be ready.
No, it makes me think about the Vanderpump crew who like saves none of their money. I'm like, Wes, don't be like them.
Don't live above your means when you start to get rich. Wait a little bit.
Yeah.
So the boys talk about how Paige is going to be back this weekend with a man's, and Jesse's like, God, I hope he's like friendly and isn't mad that I was like flirting with like Paige. And
How
I was like,
awkward.
he's like kind of worried. He's like, what if like Craig's not
He
cool
should
about it?
be. I mean, he should be nervous.
I guess, but I was like, he's never seen Southern Charm. He has to know Craig's not someone to worry about.
That's what makes it even funnier as a viewer. Is like, I think Jesse in this situation is not in the wrong, but like you should be nervous because you've just been flirting with somebody else's girl. But then it's like, we all know Craig and he clearly doesn't. It's like, you've got nothing to be nervous about.
Craig's chilling, man. He's good.
Literally make a tinfoil hat and you'll be fine.
Craig's the worst. Yeah, he's a character. So it's Friday, 12:06 p.m. It's time for the Hamptons. Craig and Paige are driving up together. And Paige is like, hey, Craig, if we were dating for 6 months and I told you I believed I was a witch, would you stay with me or would you break up? And Craig's like, I'm not bothered by a witch. I think that's cool. And I was like, yeah, as you said, Craig wears tinfoil hats. He's not bothered by a fucking witch.
Craig would love it. But I actually like this question. I want to ask someone that. Like if I'm 6 months into dating them, the privilege of dating a man, I'd be like, hi, I'm a witch. What do you think about this?
What do you think about me being a witch? Tee. We haven't even gone past first base. What do you think of me being a witch?
Yeah. It's been 6 months. We haven't even slept together. I'm a witch.
Hopefully we get that privilege. Anyway, I just broke Meredith. So Paige says if Craig was a witch, she would break up with him. And Craig's like,
I would love it if my partner was a witch.
Well, Craig's like, can men even be witches? And Paige is like, I don't know. We haven't thought it through. But they're excited for the weekend. Craig's excited to spend time with Paige. Great. Lindsay and Amanda drive down together because Kyle's at his family reunion and Carl is waiting for a package. So he's taking Friday off, which immediately I was like, why didn't he get the package sent to the summer house?
I thought all of this. I was like,
okay, good.
Did we last minute Amazon something? And all I thought truly was like, this package better be in fucking credible.
Yeah, agreed. So Amanda says they have seen Lindsay and Carl be happy together. But she really doesn't know what's real anymore is what we kind of talk about where like, that's when they were both sober and like not in real life, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we get to the Hamptons. Craig and Paige are first and they obviously have the primary bedroom. So Craig's pumped. And then Wes and Sierra get here. Wes, okay, this is the part I was crying laughing at. So Craig and Wes meet and Craig's like, where are you from? And he's like, I'm from Missouri. And
this
Craig's
is when
like,
it happened. I thought it happened with Kyle.
No, Craig's like, I've never been to Missouri. And Sierra goes, Wes has been to all 50 states. And Craig goes, oh, that's cool. And fist bumps him. And everyone starts laughing because Craig was so nonchalantly like, oh, that's cool. And fist bumps. But we also know that that was his fun fact. And then Jesse told us he's a cancer survivor. So it's just funnier. And then
I needed Jesse to come up behind him and be like, and I'm a cancer survivor.
I survived cancer. And then I'm cracking up and everyone's laughing. And Craig's like, what? It's cool. I haven't been to Arkansas or the Dakotas. And Paige is like, you haven't been to the Dakotas? This won't work. She's like, we're done. But I was cracking up at Craig
so funny.
Craig being like, oh, that's cool. Fist bump.
And I feel like this scene on its head, if you just like wrote out a transcript, not that funny, but the vibes of the house make everything enjoyable. Like truly, this season, this house is just pure magic.
This was so, like, Wes is so pure. Like, Sierra just going, he's been to all 50 states. And Craig's like, impressive. Shout out, my guy, bro.
I haven't been to the Dakotas. Like, we know, Craig. We know, just by looking at you.
We know you've barely been to Illinois. Okay? You definitely haven't been to the, I assume probably Chicago. Not. I assume Chicago.
I don't even think he's been to that. I remember I have friends on the East Coast and they had never been to Chicago. They didn't really even know about it.
I do have friends that have never been. But also, you cannot convince me Craig has ever been to Idaho.
Oh, I mean, I haven't.
I haven't either. So there's no way Craig has gone. Craig's from fucking Delaware. How is he getting to Idaho?
Here's what you could give me. He has been to most of the like East Coast states, you know.
Oh, I'll bet
he has been probably to California. I'll give him maybe Texas and Florida.
I think Craig has probably done some bullshit in Tennessee and Nashville.
Oh, you know what? He has because of Crescent Cavallari. But that is the most Midwestern thing, even though that's like half South, half Midwest.
He's never gone past Ohio. Like Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan.
Except on a plane to get to California.
He might have been to Michigan.
Oh, he's been to Minnesota because of the whole debacle with Luke's boat.
You're right. Yeah, but he never stopped in between. He's not.
No.
Iowa? Forget about it.
He would lose it. That would send Craig into a coma.
Kansas? Nebraska? Craig's never seen
states that would send Craig into a coma.
Wow. Nebraska, for sure. Craig is dead. I love shit on Craig. It's easy.
Me too.
Like, we know, Craig. We know you haven't been to all 50 states.
You didn't have to say anything. We know.
Look how cultured West is, okay? Unlike you. We get it.
Honestly, yes. Knowing and being to all 50 states, you can just pick up the vibes from everywhere.
You could tell. Mm-hmm. We've been to at least half. We give those vibes.
Yes. Yeah.
Craig's never been to half.
we know. I see a lot of things on TikTok recently about like how people in the US are like not well traveled, and like people are finding out that the US is so massive
So big.
and that every state is truly like a different country
Yeah.
in like Europe. And I'm like, exactly. It is so different. The people, the like layout, everything. Wes is cultured. Craig is not.
Like Spain to Italy is equivalent to Florida to Illinois. Like,
my God, yeah.
The change that happens. So I'm just saying. Anyway, great. Lindsay and Amanda are here. I love when Lindsay and Craig hug because remember when he called her a loser and
I know. And I was nervous. Like, what has Craig heard coming into this house? Like, I always get nervous about like how much people know, and is it gonna like is the awkwardness from last weekend gonna be put on the new person? Like, it seems like Craig's here to have a good time. He doesn't care about the fighting as long as it doesn't happen in his face.
He's chilling. So Lindsay and Sierra are making a Southern meal because they're both Southern. Sierra's from Georgia. I have no idea where Lindsay's from.
Lindsay's from Florida. I was like, I wouldn't 1,000% call it Southern.
That's different. Here's the other thing. If you're international, for some reason, listening to two dumb Americans talk about people in a summer house, Florida to me is not the South.
No,
Florida's
it's its own entity.
Its own thing is happening.
Yeah, kind of like Texas is its own thing. In California is its own thing.
There's like Western, there's Southern, and then there's like Florida, Texas, that whole thing. I wouldn't even consider South Carolina like Southern. Like Georgia and Mississippi and Alabama, those are the Southern states. It's different.
It's just different. This is what we're talking about. The vibes are different in every state, and some bleed into each other. Yes. Yeah, I didn't consider Florida Southern, but I'm like, whatever. Have this bit. This can be your ladies' theme. I get it. We got to all pick themes. Them. Sure.
Sierra and Lindsay are chilling. They've been texting. It's the most they've ever texted in their life was about this Southern meal. So
I cackled.
And Lindsay's going to make her cake again because remember the cake from last year? She made 2 cakes and then she got in a fight with the house and she took one of the cakes and I was pissed about it.
I will never forget because they literally pointed it out in the episode and I think they did us dirty by not calling it out with the editing and like arrows. But I wonder if we'll get it because we didn't eat dinner tonight.
We didn't eat dinner yet. Yeah.
Maybe we'll get it next episode.
Someone's going to eat the cake and be like, it wasn't that good. I don't know what I was complaining about.
Is it going to be like Sheena's enchiladas on Vanderpump or like it's a big
like
deal
your
to
award-winning cake that no one cared. Yeah. So Carl is not going to be here because, again, he's waiting on a special delivery. So then we start talking about Paige's apartment. And she's like, guys, I saw an apartment for $12,000 this week, but that's out of my budget. And Lindsay's like, Craig, are you going to contribute? And Paige is like, absolutely not. But then Craig said that he basically said if Paige finds a really, quote, sick-ass apartment outside of her budget, he will cover the outside budget part, which is very nice of Craig. However, Paige doesn't want Craig on the lease. And then she's like, God forbid something happens. I need you to then cover my rent?
Yep.
Yeah, so she doesn't want to rely on him and she doesn't want him making decisions. And she's like, if I'm not married to you, why am I going to take your money?
I 1,000% agree. And I think it's, like you said, really nice that Craig offered. Like, he's doing it just out of the, like, I hate to say kindness of his heart because that sounds weird, but he's just like, he wants her to have whatever she wants. But I love Paige not putting herself in a position of, like, risking financial security off the off chance you guys do break up. Like, she is making smart moves. Look at Carl and
Lindsay.
Yep. Like, they're truly living together, so it is a little different.
That's true.
Like, she shouldn't be paying his mortgage and he shouldn't be paying her rent. Like, they have separate places. It's all on them. Like, again, he gets opinions, but that doesn't mean we're going to take them. Don't need him on the lease. Like, this would be my nightmare. This is also what concerns me about living with someone because a la Carl and Lindsay. Like, worst case scenario happens, your life blows up. And, like, I could not cover a 2-bedroom apartment in Chicago if I got that with a partner on my own. No, like I just constantly think about that stuff. Like, I don't want to put myself in that position. Or like if I buy a place and somebody moves in, like I don't want you to necessarily like, I don't want to be on the hook to get a mortgage that I would have to rely on somebody else to pay. Like, I
Agreed.
would always want to be able to pay it, and I think they should contribute. But like,
Agreed.
maybe he does contribute to the overall rent, but like, yeah, she needs to be able to cover it on her own no matter what.
Yeah. So Craig, again, he's like, I'm willing, but, and then he kind of like stumbles over his words and it ends up saying like, we don't know what we're doing. Which like, okay. So in this next part, I will give Craig credit. Everyone just wait. Just hold your fucking horses. So it's Friday, 5:13 p.m. Kyle's here. Kyle like starts talking to Craig because they're friends. Craig hasn't drank liquor for a year. Kyle's like, was that a Paige thing? And Paige is like, no, but I think he like saw my face when he would like get really sloppy drunk, and maybe that was it. And Craig says he on his own figured out there's a difference between a fun boyfriend and a potential father to kids, and you just can't go from boyfriend to husband. You have to work at it. And Kyle's like, what? And Amanda's like, he has no idea.
He still hasn't figured it out.
Yeah. But also Lindsay's listening, which I think is important to note, that like Lindsay's hearing how Craig has grown and done all this. But Craig also says like giving up liquor wasn't really that hard. Which, good for Craig.
I agree.
So attire for dinner is Southern looking. Sierra and Wes really melt my heart. They're just like sitting on the couch and he's like laying on her and he's just talking. And she starts laughing and she's like, you talk a lot. And he's like, oh my God, do I need to chill? And she's like, no, it's so cute. And I was like, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe when Sierra called him cute.
It would mean the world to me if somebody said that to me. Like my potential male suitor. If he was like, you talk a lot, but I love it. I literally, I would feel so self-secure. Like I would feel secure in how much I talk for the rest of my entire life.
Yeah, 100%. So then Craig and Kyle are outside and they talk. And this is where I think Craig has grown leaps and bounds since we have last seen him. And I commend him. Anyway.
Honestly.
So, Craig first is like, Amanda did a great job with the Loverboy stuff, like the design. It's great. Craig also asked like, how's working with Amanda? And Kyle says like, there should be a sense of ownership for Amanda because she's been here since like the beginning. I think it's just like we have different jobs. So she takes a lot more time to like decompress, which I understand because Amanda's not only working, but using her creative gene. Like we work and then we do like this podcast as our creative gene. Yeah. Like they don't overlap. Yeah. So it's different. And so Kyle asked about not drinking liquor, and Craig says he's really been working on himself. It was a personal thing. And if him and Paige work out, they work out. But if not, Craig has come to terms with like, it's not the end of the world. But he is happy where he is personally. And this is where I give Craig credit because last summer he was all insecure and he's like, when do we get married? We have to live together. If we're not engaged in a year, I'm going to die. But I think really watching that like Paige and Craig on Southern Charm this season helped like Craig understand like, okay, we're in this relationship. We both want the same things. We love each other, but we have to be realistic that we fell in love with someone who doesn't want the same life. So we have to be realistic and like changing our lives for each other.
Like, how do we make this work and compromise? I think he really probably for the first time it solidified in his brain what like compromising because you want to be with someone and truly working to make it work.
Yeah. Which I love. Kyle, I don't think watched Southern Charm because he's like, what do you mean if it doesn't work, it doesn't work? And Craig's like, look, there's always a chance it doesn't work out. Like we live in different places. Neither one of us wants to leave. It's naive to think that this is a forever thing. Like it's naive to think that there's no chance we'll break up because there is.
Yeah.
And Kyle's very impressed that they've made long distance work because a lot of people in long distance either break up or cheat. Haha. And I was like, well, they're not you. As Craig said, he's really working on himself. So
yeah,
whatever.
Well, I kind of like the sentiment. Like it weirdly is, this is going to sound weird, but romantic to me that you don't just assume they're going to be with you forever. Like they're just kind of like not in your back pocket. Like it kind of feels like Craig is always like, I have to work for this relationship. Like there's a chance it doesn't work out. And so I need to live in a world where I'm constantly working to make sure it does work out.
Yeah,
Like,
which I think is hot. That's great.
Always willing to put in the effort, where Kyle's like, we're married. Like, this is just the end all be all. So like, I can say or do whatever I want, but we're married. Like, we'll just be together forever.
Yeah.
And it kind of like comes off a little laziness on Kyle. Like, you're not willing to constantly work on it. Like, it's hot to see Craig say like it may not be forever. And so I'm going to try and do everything in my power to make sure it is, kind of.
It was definitely hot. And like Kyle sitting here like, this is the first time I've heard doubt. And I was like, it's not doubt. It's realism. No.
Yes. And like
there's a chance you and Amanda don't work out. Like, be real about it. Like, because then Kyle says, like, in relationships, something always has to give. And he talks about how, like, him and Amanda with New York and New Jersey, he knows he'll have to sacrifice at some point. And he's like, and so will Paige. And I'm like, no, Craig's not looking at it as a sacrifice. He's looking at it as work and what will work for us. And like, maybe they both sacrifice, but Craig's not expecting Paige to give up her whole life. Like Kyle's expecting Paige to give up her whole life. And like, he's Kyle thinking looks at his it like move to New Jersey.
A loss. Like I am like, mourning the loss of the city. And like, I don't think Kyle and Craig ever look at it as such a definitive answer. Like, I think in their mind, they could always be like, we have an apartment in New York City and Paige can be in New York City. And we can like, it's not a black and white, yes or no, one or the other. Whereas Kyle sees it like that.
Yeah. Which, like I said, I really like Craig looking at it as work. I really like him being real about it. I don't like Kyle being like, I have to give something up, and I would expect Paige would also have to give it up.
Yeah.
And I like how Craig says, look, like in my perfect world, we have more security on getting married and on having kids. But he's secure now that him and Paige have sat down, and we saw it on Southern Charm, where like she has said, I want to be with you. Like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't a long-term thing for me. So that calmed Craig's insecurities down. And he's like, I have to believe her or I don't. And like, that's where Craig's like, I'm believing this and I'm going to tailor my insecurities to what she is saying and shut them down. Yeah. And he goes like, the risk is Craig's patience doesn't last forever, which is the realism. Sense.
Yep.
The risk Kyle is taking right now is Amanda's patience does not last forever because Kyle has sacrificed so far very little in this relationship. Whereas like
the juxtaposition of these two relationships is fascinating because it's also like kind of educating me on like very tangible things that I do and don't want in a relationship. I want someone who like the conversation clearly Paige and Craig had over on Southern Charm saying like, this is what I want. And Craig is saying, if it doesn't happen, like I believe in you. And like, there is a chance it doesn't happen. And so then I would walk away. But like, I believe that we both want to get married and that we will. Whereas like, on the Kyle and Amanda side, like Kyle and Amanda had that conversation about kids and Kyle saying like, I can't do all the logistics. I'm worried you won't basically show up. And Amanda saying like, I will show up. And Kyle is choosing not to believe in it and not trust that she will. And it's fascinating to see those. Like that's what continues a problem versus doesn't continue a problem. Like your anxiety is like calmed or like simmered down a little bit because you could like communicate about it and actually choose to move forward. Whereas like Kyle and Amanda are not.
Agreed. So props to Craig. Props to my little Craigie. I think he's grown a lot. It's very hot to see him be a realist and not so insecure. And I'm so proud of him. So Lindsay is like, hey Paige, I brought a bunch of dresses. Can you help me pick? And I'm like, oh my God, fashion advice. I love.
I think Lindsay and Paige really need to lean into this type of friendship where it's like, come help me pick out my outfit.
Yeah. So Jesse's here. He says hi to Sierra and Wes by motorboating them. And Jesse immediately is like, where's Paige? And Sierra's like, probably upstairs. And then as he heads upstairs, he runs into Craig. And I was like, ooh. But also it was fine. Nothing happened. Obviously, Jesse's not like, hey, man, I've been flirting with your girl. Also, Craig would be like, okay.
But when Jesse first saw him, he said something like, oh, shit. Because he knows, obviously, that's Paige's boyfriend. But his first initial, he was like, oh, fuck.
Like, I would never believe Craig would ever, like, fight. But especially seeing Craig so secure in himself and like working on himself and like looking great. I'm like,
He is unbothered.
Craig is
Unbothered
unbothered.
king.
Jesse could be like, I touched your girl's knee and I liked it and I want to do it again. And Craig would be like, you can try, but she'll probably kill you. So do you, man.
It is wild to me that the hierarchy of secure relationships is Craig and Paige, West and Sierra, Kyle and Amanda, and Lindsay and Carl.
That's crazy. You're right. All the boys go to the pool. Jesse's like, oh, Carl's not here because of Lindsay, and we all know it. And I was like, whoa, probably, but also like big accusation for a first year.
I know. I was like, sir, you were really throwing things out. Like, I kind of like understand what you're saying, but like, whoa, to just throw that out there.
Well, then we see the Soul Cycle clip where Carl was like, I don't want to have another Friday fight. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to
break the cycle.
Skip. Mm-hmm. So his excuse is this package that he's waiting for. And
again, I'm like, Kyle, you better be showing up with something great though, because you're not like using this as the excuse. You better show up or show out.
But then Kyle is like, I've heard from people who go to their apartment that which I don't know how accurate that is, but that Kyle or Lindsay and Carl are sleeping in separate rooms.
This is the tea. I wanted the tea. Like,
I love that the boys are the gossipers.
Oh, okay. Well, also this season, the guys like love swimming in the pool, and I'm loving that vibe. Like, Wes is always like,
that they do. Are we
going for a dip?
I love that they do a dunk.
And then they get like, because the girls are like take longer to get ready typically. And so I love that they go for a dip before getting ready. And then, yes, we get this like drama circle and like gossip sesh. Give it to me always. When boys gossip, it's good gossip. That's the thing.
So Amanda and Paige are in Lindsay's room giving Lindsay fashion advice. They pick a dress and they're like, oh, too bad Carl's in here to see it. And Lindsay's like, Carl probably wouldn't care because he's not a very sexual person. And Paige is like, that's kind of weird because you're like a very sexual person and maybe Carl's just reserved. Like, how
I have
often
a question
do you have
for
sex?
You. Yeah. Do you feel like Carl from seeing past seasons is a sexual person? Not including with Lindsay, because I don't ever want to talk about that nursing outfit ever again. But prior to Lindsay, what did you think Carl was a sexual person?
Interesting question. Thinking about it in the like 5 seconds you've given me, I think,
or like on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you have put him?
I would put him kind of high, but we've never seen him in a relationship, which I do think changes this, like when you're living with someone and you see them every day, it probably does change.
It is different.
Like Craig and Paige, when they see each other, they probably like fuck like bunnies because
they're so excited.
They're never around. And like Carl and Lindsay are both older, but again, Carl's always been very pro like hooking up. So I don't know if it's just, but we've also never seen him sober hook up with people.
True.
Like that's separate too.
That's so true. I never really thought about the sobriety aspect, but I was thinking like with seasons like 1 through 3, let's say, like with the Workus
he
twins,
was fucking everyone that would breathe.
Yeah. So like I always thought of Carl as like, I wouldn't ever say he's not a sexual person. Like I would have put him as probably like a 7 and Lindsay at like a 9. Like Lindsay is definitely more sexual than him. Like exactly what Paige said. She's definitely more, I forget the word I was thinking of whenever I actually watched this, but she's just like definitely more outward with like kind of the conversation, all that, which is nothing wrong with it. She is just more like forward with conversation and stuff. And I think she's very more forward in the like bedroom with initiating sex. I could imagine that with any partner, but I wouldn't ever say Carl's not a sexual person prior to this relationship.
Me neither. But like I said, we've never seen Carl in a relationship. Carl is pushing 40 at this point. He might be 40. And then also, we haven't seen him really hook up with people sober.
I know. And
he had that one girl.
But they give me friend energy. So like I also don't read this as a sexual relationship.
They are two friends who made a marriage pact and then they hit their limit and then they are dating.
And this confirms it. Keep going with this conversation, but this conversation confirms it.
Okay, so Paige is like, how often do you have sex? And she goes, every couple of weeks. And Paige's jaw drops. And Amanda's like, okay, don't compare it to me because I've been with Kyle for 10 years. But like year 2, we were all the time, every day.
I wanted Amanda to tell me, though, here what they were like that summer they were supposed to get married, because they were fighting a lot, similar to Lindsay and
extra
Carl.
pressure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I would have loved that year because it's different when you're like, Amanda was like 26, 27 in their second year. You know, like,
which is also different. But then Paige brings up a good point, and she's like, let me do the girl math. Because people usually lie to make it look better.
It's like, how many drinks do you drink a week math? I'm like,
yeah, every couple weeks. She's like, they're having sex once every 6 weeks, probably. Which is wild if you live with me.
I think every 4 to 6 weeks, that's the time frame I would give them based on what Lindsay said. I think you do lie a little bit because I think she said every 3 weeks. So I would put it to 4 to like give her the benefit of the doubt. But still, I was thinking like, granted, I have not been in a long-term relationship where I'm planning a wedding.
You haven't had the privilege.
I haven't had the privilege. Why did I say that all episode?
Was so funny. I'm never going to forget that.
But still, I've never planned a wedding. Like, the stress can definitely get to you, I bet. But still, like, when I really like someone, I feel like I'm not a sexual person when it comes to, like, just wanting just to have sex. Like, that's just not me. But when I'm into someone, I want to. And so, like, it would bother me if we were not having sex and we were only having sex once a month.
And you never initiate, or you always have to initiate, because she said Carl never initiates. I would stop initiating at some point.
I know I said I didn't want to talk about the nursing, but that even amazes me more if they were like not really sexual and they filmed that. That makes it even weirder.
The nurse scene. Ew.
Yes.
Ew, 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 ew. Yeah. So I don't know about this. So
this gives me less faith in their relationship. Like, I am seeing more and more why them not getting married.
They are friends.
Yeah.
They are, hear me out. They are Tom Schwartz and Katie Maloney, but instead of 12 years, they're 2 years in.
That makes less sense, you know?
But like, that's what they were. They didn't consummate their marriage for like months. That's going to be Lindsay and Carl.
I give Katie and Schwartz credit that if they like did that fast tracking within 2 years, I don't think they would have gotten married. You know, like, I don't think they ever would have gotten engaged at this point. Like, if they were like this in a condensed version. Oh yeah.
Agreed.
I give both of them more self-respect, but also they are not, it's a different timelines because different stages of life too. Like, there is this pressure on Lindsay being a woman. Like, I understand that pressure. Like, she wants kids so bad. We have seen that all throughout this series, that like she is kind of like willing to look past certain things to have the end goal of kids.
Yes. It's wild. I don't really know about this. I have certainly never had the privilege of being engaged to a man, so I can't say what our sex life should be like. But I can say that when I'm dating someone all the time, I'm like, when's the next time we're meeting up?
Get over here now.
When's the next time? Yeah. So
yes,
I'm in. Anyway, so next time, Carl brings a car to the party, which I'm assuming is the package, which looks stupid.
I was mad at it.
I'd be pissed. It looks like the party theme is like NASCAR or racing.
You know what I want? I want mini Mario Kart cars that we are all going to race. That's what I want.
That would be hilarious. Amanda's mad. Paige asked Lindsay if she's positive she wants to get married. And Jesse also asked Carl if he's positive.
I can't wait. I want to hear what they say so bad. Same. This season is like getting evidence for why the breakup makes, I mean, we all kind of knew it kind of made sense, I believe, but like getting all the evidence of the breakup, and I like in notching things in my brain of like, is Lindsay blindsided? I think Carl was right to break up, but like, is Carl right the way he did it? Like, that's the evidence.
Agreed. Okay, so fun, not fun. I think I went first last week, so do you want to?
I think you should go first. I kind of like when you go first because I also don't know this week. I haven't really thought about it. I just enjoyed the episode overall. So I'm like, everyone's fun.
The episode was so good, and I do want to change it up because I think everyone deserves to be in the fun spot at some point.
And I don't want to just harp on Lindsay for not fun
and Carl
all season.
And listen, even though we didn't really see their fighting this episode, so I don't want to give it to them because they're.
I don't think it was bad. Like they were. It was the resolution of the fight, and so that made me feel better. I feel like we're in a good spot, and I want them to fight because I just think it's going to be interesting, but I don't want them to fight.
So I'm going to go based off of who I enjoyed and who I didn't enjoy. And my not fun is going to go to Gabby because she didn't sleep outside. And also she's not here this next weekend. So to me, you need to plan your schedule around Summer House. True. And you always, unless there's a death in the family.
True. If you're not going to be here next weekend, then you better sleep in that tent and get your hours for on-camera footage.
Yeah. Also, I'm sad she has to deal with Lindsay. So
I'm sad that her face is suffering.
It's not fun.
Drama.
She's aged greatly. Just kidding. I
am gonna go not fun with Kyle. I weirdly wanted more of him from the camp out party. I feel like he really shines in environments like that, and I feel like he's not really that fun this season. For the levels I expect of Kyle, I feel like he's not really showing up for me this season.
He's pantless.
I know he's hitting the beats with Carl, which I need, and about the Carl drama. But I'm like, I need you. I'm not getting drunk eating in the kitchen, and maybe that's just an editing thing. But I'm just not getting the little bits from Kyle I really want. And then
also his conversation with Craig could die.
And then you couple that with the lack of awareness of being a good husband. It's just a really hard pill of Kyle to swallow. And truly, if he had argued to get the master this season, I would die on this hill that I hate Kyle this season.
Yeah.
Thank God he didn't argue about the I hate when Kyle does that.
I know. Yeah. Okay, fun. God, everyone was so fun. I'm taking Craig off the table because Craig is not here.
Shout out to Craig.
Shout out to Craig and his self-awareness. Boy. Yeah, it was a good. Honestly, this was probably the best episode out of all the shows Craig has ever set foot on that he's ever had. This was it. This was great.
I agree. Not including reunions because that's just pure debauchery, and I love that version of Craig.
That's where Craig, sadly, that's where Craig really finds his footing. That's where he excels, is when everyone else is in absolute madness, and he just gets to give his opinion because Craig's a woman.
Yes.
It's like he loves the gossip.
Over on Vanderpump Rules excels at reunions. Craig does. It is a special skill. Paige does. Yeah.
Yes.
God,
this is hard. Okay, should we go through our thought process?
I never had such a hard time. Let's go through our thought process. So obviously the two people we just picked as not fun are kind of not on the table.
So Wes, Sierra, and Jesse they are giving us constant. They're so
always fun. So I kind of lean into not wanting to pick them.
Lindsay during the camping thing was so fun. She really stepped up in her own.
But I really liked the scene of her picking out the dresses with the girls.
Yeah, I liked watching her pitch a tent.
I weirdly liked watching her come back from her walk at the start of the episode.
I forgot. No, that was funny. But also
actually, Lindsay's my pick.
That was hilarious.
Lindsay was so chaotic. I thoroughly enjoyed it this episode.
But there was no fighting. She was just shirtless and slithering through the compound, and
her lack of self-awareness was not destructive this week, and it made me giggle. So I'm in for Lindsay. I will probably never pick her the rest of this season.
No, same.
Okay, so then we got Danielle really she planned the event, but she just
but she's gone this next weekend. You gotta get it together. Paige was gone for over half the episode.
Amanda, I don't think we really got much.
Amanda's never the fun one, she's unless she's in New Jersey, she's Amanda 2.0. I think we're gonna give it to the girls because Sierra also is helping Lindsay with this Southern meal. I'm gonna give it to Sierra. I
Look at
liked
her
watching,
having a relationship with Lindsay.
She's having a relationship with Lindsay. She did really great, or she tried during the camping thing. She had to deal with Jesse Sullivan. But then she was like, she made out with Wes. She slept in the tent with him. She smacked his butt. They did movie Monday. Asked Wes to like come over.
Yep.
And like,
Alicia, guess what I just realized? Sierra has cooked 3 times already this season.
3 times already, and she never has picked up a spatula before. Now look at her.
She
also
is showing
told
up
Wes,
to the summer house.
Told Wes he's cute, and him babbling, which I think is the realization me and Meredith need, or the recognition we need from someone. So I appreciate that. And I like how much I'm liking Sierra, because I was a big hater on her, and I'm trying to make up for that. I think it was just her being young with Austin really like bothered me, but I like her right now. I think this is really bringing out her positive side. I like that she's not always like with the bed girls. She's doing stuff. She's hanging out. She's become friends with the girls. I'm enjoying her.
I agree. Good pick.
Great. So, we have a few comments that we should discuss.
Let's do it.
So, Chrissy says, I'm only 10 minutes in, but I had to say how much I love this camping party. This is what I like to see. No drama, probably spoke too soon, but oh well. And crazy games with lots of laughs. This is the summer house I've been waiting for. Agreed. The camping party was top tier party for sure.
We do need to have camaraderie where like everybody's having fun. That is a key point to this show. So we were due for that.
I
Here an episode, like what are we on, 5?
Chrissy then says, quote of the episode, Paige, when figuring out how often Carl and Lindsay actually have sex, girl math carry the one. Paige is funny. She gives good interviews.
I know.
That's where Paige really excels.
Too.
I love girl math. Okay, and Tonette says, there was a lot this episode. Lindsay stops running when no one's chasing her. She reminds me of a cat that needs a lot of attention, but not too much where it's smothering. The relationship is too much for me and too hard when it should be easy breezy. You would think 2 people who had a marriage pact would just have it easy breezy, but no, of course not.
That's the thing. I feel like I would let so much go because I would think that like my best friend I'm getting married to doesn't actually need that as much from me. I don't have to work that hard at the relationship because you're like friends. Like you don't really need to like pick fights because like you don't have the privilege of a man who's just absolutely obsessed with you. So like, let's just be chill and have fun.
Listen, I've never had the privilege, but I do have a no dating friends rule where if we're in a friend group, I cannot date you.
I think the only time you can do it is right at the start of one person coming into the friend group. You can try.
Once we're friends,
you can't be solidified for years and years. You get a first year of that person coming into your life to dabble in it and try.
Amanda comes into the friend group. Her and Kyle figure it out. They're dating. They can never break up. Like, what will happen next year with Lindsay and Carl, you know?
Well, if the breakup happens, it's very obvious that this is Kyle's friend group. And, like, Amanda would leave because Amanda wasn't as solidified in the group at that point. Now, if they break up, it would, like, fracture the thing. But there's a marriage at stake, so it's a little different.
Like, whereas, what do Lindsay and Carl do?
Like, we are actively seeing it play out. Like, they are sides in this friend group now.
It's terrible. Tonette says, I think Wes and Sierra are together still. Wes has been doing some podcasts here lately, but I haven't listened to them. And one called him the #1 guy of Summer House, which is a huge assumption. I think we're saying it. It's amazing.
In your first season, what an honor to be #1 guy in the group.
Truly. It was nice to hear more about Wes this episode, even if it was him being out of work. I like that he didn't make it a big deal. He wasn't working, or at least it wasn't edited to seem he did. I know, usually they're like, they have a job.
I love that he doesn't use it as an excuse to not show up for Sierra. Like, Carl did that whenever he lost his job with one of the Workus twins. He was like, I can't court you because I don't have a job. And, like, listen, you should be financially smart about your money, but there are free things you can do. You can show up in other ways. Like, I love that it wasn't, I can't go walk around or I can't take you to the movies because I don't have a job.
You're right. It was with Workus.
Yeah.
Circus. I thought it was with Lindsay the first time for some reason. But she
I
was
can't
probably
imagine
yelling
that
at
would
him for
ever
something
go over well.
else. Yeah. That kiss with Sierra and Wes was not the best. She hit teeth and she kissed Alex, so she needs to take a breath and calm herself before she goes in hard during publicized kisses. No, it was a fun kiss. It wasn't like they were hitting teeth because it was hilarious. I
That's
disagree.
the thing.
It was fine.
Yeah. And like it's hard to get like in a groove of kissing. Like you slowly
I don't do
learn
my
it.
best work when people are yelling at me to kiss him, you know? It's
No,
not my best.
no. We're early in the relationship. This is awkward. We feel rushed.
I'm hitting your
like
teeth.
I've knocked some teeth in the first few weeks. It happens.
Yeah, you got to find your groove. And they're not yet public enough to have that groove.
Yes.
They know it in
That's the thing.
private.
I would just feel uncomfortable kissing in front of other people, so it'd be awkward. I have a weird thing about like PDA. Like I don't like kissing in front of people because then I get my head. So this would make it even worse. Now,
Meredith's
every
going
time
yeah.
I kiss in public, I'm going to think about knocking teeth because of this.
Also,
moment.
if we knock teeth, it's two people's fault. Okay, it's not just Sierra's fault. Wes also had his teeth out and proud.
It takes two to tango.
Yeah. So, Tonette says, I'm sure she was just nervous and wants to get it over with quickly. We're in public, Tonette. Yeah, it is fine. It was hot. It was still a hot kiss. Lastly, Wes gave me the ick. How dare. A little when he was with Sierra in the tent with his socks still on and then walked across the yard in his socks on still. What do you want him to do, Tonette? It's rated.
That did not bother me. I didn't even notice it. That's the thing. That's the thing. When you are camping and you are done camping, you flip that switch. You don't care about anything. I hope he took his socks off once he got inside, but like let that man be. It's 5 a.m. and it's raining and they're in a 2% tent.
Also, when you start sleeping with someone, sometimes you leave your socks on and you're like, I personally hate feet. So I would rather you have your socks on until I get used to your feet.
Your stupid little feet.
I hate feet.
I sleep with my socks on sometimes in the winter, like it's fucking cold.
Let Wes live.
Leave him alone. Leave the number one guy in the group alone.
Okay, Tonette says, first off, Craig is a very, very nice looking man. He's gotten better. Trust me. It hasn't always been like that.
I prefer a preppy guy. I grew up in a world of like preppy, like people always wore stuff like that. And so like, that's my type.
Craig's your type. And like a Luke
is not the hair, not the swoopy hair, but like I want button downs and like, I mean, I've gotten a little bit off of that, but when I was growing up, that is everything I saw, like needlepoint belts and like loafers and Sperry's and
I want a lumberjack, like a Luke.
I don't want a consistent. I want you to be able to lumberjack a little bit.
No. I want you to not be able to get fancy for a meal. Like you're confused and I need to help you.
Like a full tux. Oh my God, I'm in.
No, see, I don't really love a tux. I want you to look kind of messy when you're in your dress shirt. Like you roll up your sleeves and you're like, this is uncomfortable. And I'll be like,
that's true. Agreed. That is pretty hot. I want you to be able to be specific. I want you to be a buttoned up man out in the streets and a lumberjack in the sheets.
I want you to be my servant in the sheets. A butler. You will. But we'll never know because we won't have the privilege.
We don't have the privilege.
Okay. Tonette says, I appreciate a man who can be a dreamer, but also a realist. And as much as I like Craig and Paige together, and I believe a woman should not move or change for a man that sacrifices the woman, I think Craig is starting to want more. I don't see him leaving anytime soon, but I also don't see him being her lapdog either. And I feel some of America believes he is.
I don't think he's a lapdog.
I don't think he is anymore. I think his insecurities made me question a lot.
1,000%.
But I think they're making it work, and I support. I
like every person has a right to be kind of insecure about something, but then it's key to work through it, communicate, and like this is the opposite of what Love Is Blind is with Chelsea and Jimmy.
Oh my God, yeah, you're right.
Like this is like
opposite.
Because I feel like sometimes you get shamed if you're just insecure about anything and then you feel crazy. And so it's like, it's okay to be insecure, communicate about it, and like work through it. And this
Agreed.
gives us the path. Whereas like Chelsea and Jimmy over on Love is Blind, it's like, oh,
Crazy.
no.
Yeah.
Like you did not find a resolution or like a fix between you two.
So Tonette finishes and says, Paige's girl math for Lindsay was funny, but I hope she doesn't fuck around too long and find out Craig has moved on without her. Tonette, never. Have you not watched Southern Charm? He's obsessed with her.
He is obsessed.
In the end, I truly hope Paige moves to Charleston and they live happily ever after. I don't. I think they could do both.
I agree. I think they can do both. I don't think it's that complicated. Like, I don't, like, honestly, before the pandemic, people like used to work in different cities and their family lived in different cities, you know? Like, you would like go to a city during the weekday and then fly home. I don't want that life by any means. They don't have a standard work week life. Like, they can fly to New York. She can work there for a few days and fly back. And like, when they have kids, life might be different too. Like, they can, every stage of their life, choose what they want. Sometimes I feel like we think that we have to make a choice and that's how it's going to be for the rest of time.
It's not. Also, look at Madison from Southern Charm and her husband. He works in California and then comes back to Charleston. Yeah, he does both. And I think that's a really great thing. Madison's okay with that. They're okay with their life that way.
It really works for them. I think her also having a kid outside of their relationship, it gives her time to spend quality time with her son alone without the pressure of being like, I want alone time. I feel like that could work for me. If you spend like 3 days out of the city, I wouldn't be that big of a deal. I just want your home base and like the majority of our life to be, and I get if Craig wants this, like to be, let's say in Charleston, if that was our situation.
But I think Paige last summer brought up a good point and was like, why is it Charleston? Like, my mom's in New York. Paige also, they could move to New Jersey or Albany. And I know Craig has his business, but he could just fly to Charleston, similar to the way Madison does it.
He could be the Brett, the one leaving for work. Why does it have to be Paige?
This is my issue. I don't like that people are like, oh, Paige has to move to Charleston because they're not going to raise a family in the city, which is fine, but they could move anywhere in the fucking world. Like Craig's parents aren't in Charleston. They're in Delaware. They can move to Delaware. They can move to New York. They can move to New Jersey. They can move to fucking California and get a house there.
You know what? I fall into that. It's just the assumption that she has to be the one to move her whole life and
because she's in an apartment and like kids should, quote, have a backyard or whatever.
But which like says who?
But like, fine, they don't want to raise their kids in a city. They could go to literally anywhere. They don't have to go to Charleston.
Oh my God, can you imagine a future show of Kyle, Amanda, Craig, and Paige, like the Valley version? Whatever, we're not watching the Valley,
Jersey?
But in New Jersey.
Paige would be so unhappy in New Jersey. She would never.
Real Housewives of New Jersey appearance?
She would never. She would be like, I fucking hate Jersey.
I know.
Oh my God, Paige in Hoboken. Paige has never been to Hoboken before. You cannot convince me. Anyway, so Tonette says, I'm loving everything about this season. Me too. This is an awesome season. Okay.
Me too.
So we did it. This great episode. I really love Summer House. It was very funny. Meredith and I would love the privilege of dating a man.
Thank you.
So if
the
you know
the privilege of you guys all listening to this is the
makes up for not
list.
Having the privilege to date a man, for sure. Who needs a man when we have the privilege of you?
Why do I want another podcast that's called The Privilege of Dating and we just talk about our dating lives now?
That would also just be on Pass the Spaghetti, or also depending on just
Pass the Spaghetti. The random podcast we always come up with after we already have 3.
Pass the Spaghetti is my favorite. Okay, great. So do all the things I said at the beginning of the episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of this journey with us. It's a very fun journey. And we will be back next week to cover the next episode. Meredith, anything else?
No, just thrilled with this series. It brings joy.
Do the stuff. Do the privilege. Thank you.
Bye.